crossing over to the Western region to speak to our correspondent. Richard Sky, you shared a video of a rail line that was hanging. Apparently because some people had decided to mine underneath the rail line. And you said this was so heartbreaking for you. And do you know if this is a recent video or it's an old video?
My understanding is a very recent video.
Very recent video, okay. And what town was this taken from?
This was somewhere in the Bogoso area, in the Western region.
All right. So, were you worried about the mining or the rail? What was the problem? What was the...
So, two things. First of all, these guys are doing so much damage to our environment and compromising everybody's health. Nobody is left out. That angers me a lot because we've been doing this since 2015, you and I and the rest of the crew, including Godfred. So it's something that annoys me. But another thing that actually provoked me was the sheer extent of the damage that has been done to the rail line. Bernard, it is not cheap to lay rail lines to anywhere in this world. It is an expensive venture. It is the case that we have neglected many of the lines as a country. We have not done well in that particular space. But for people who are citizens of this republic, and in some cases, persons from outside, to go in their search of daily bread, as some claim, to destroy a national infrastructure the way they have, look, something serious must happen to the people responsible. Because there can be no justification whatsoever. It is, you have destroyed our environment.
Can you describe what you posted? Because this is radio. Okay,
so Bernard, we're talking about the rail line that we're talking with my understanding is towards the Unsuta, from Achim to Unsuta area in the Western region, which is around the enclave where Ghana does a lot of bauxite mining and hauling them from that place towards the Takoradi port for export. Somehow, people took their earth-moving equipment, chamfan and related, offensive equipment, to mine under the rail line.
To mine?
Yes, we are talking about 3 kilometers or so of rail line that they have destroyed as a result
about
of the
3 kilometers?
Exactly.
Wow.
So what it means, rail line has to pass on top of the hard earth, right? Because they removed the earth underneath the rail line.
The line is hanging.
The line is hanging and in some cases collapsed.
Wow.
You understand? That's so what it means is that line has become immotorable. No train can use it until we are able to find money, repack the sand, fortify it, and then use the lines to move across it.
Wow.
And that is some investment that I should not be paying for. That kind of investment I should not be paying for it because I have already paid for it. And it is the state's responsibility to find and prosecute the people responsible. Do
we know how long this has gone on for? Maybe, of course, when I speak to the correspondent, I'll get that information out. So you feel like that's a good entry point for the galamsey conversation?
It is.
And to be happening the weekend when the president met CSOs to talk about progress made in the fight against galamsey is quite startling, right?
Yeah.
That even within the period where the president and the team are trying to say we are doing this, that, or the other, here's a community that's disregarding all good sense to destroy our real infrastructure. Let's talk to Akwesi Ajay Enim to give us some further insights on this. We'll also speak to the real people because, on Thursday we interviewed the Minister for Transport and he was talking about plans to revamp the Western Rail Line. I'm not sure if he actually saw this or if he knows that this is what has happened to the rail infrastructure itself. Akwesi Ajay Enim is our Western Regional correspondent. Akwesi, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard.
So this video that's trending regarding rail lines destroyed by miners, which particular place is this? And do you know exactly when this happened?
Well, Bernard, so the devastation is taking place on a stretch. It's not like it's limited to a particular community. And we are not even doing it inside a town, but the stretch where it covers a certain area. So it is within the stretch of, Bonsarore community and Achim community. And this is not far from Insuta, where we have our manganese. And so we are looking at between 6 to 3 kilometers to Insuta, where we have manganese. And it's also, which connects to the Takrade harbor, where we used to hold our manganese. And the devastation actually didn't start today. It's something that has been going on. In August, we had a Ghana Railway Development Authority boss actually coming here to do some inspection. And when we got there, we saw some bit of that. But because, and I remember at the time, the boss did mention that they are going to have a combined task force working with the military and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to put in a task force to actually make sure they stop the devastation. But after they left, the security, protection that we were expecting to have for the rail lines didn't happen. And that is how come today it's gotten this bad. This current footage is coming to us in the last 3 days. In the last 3 days ago is where we got these footages coming from the place.
All right. Now, do you know what length of rail line has been compromised by the miners? Because the video was very short, so I'm not sure. It didn't look more than 10-20 meters. But do you know how much of our rail line has been destroyed by the mining?
I think it's within around 2 kilometers to 2.5 kilometers. But that is what I gathered. But I must say, it is not just even that portion. Along the stretch, spaces, other places that you see some galamsey activities also approaching the line. But Bernard, is it the bigger issue? Is that one? It is not factual that because of this devastation, railway is not able to haul manganese. That is not factual. The rail line, the last time the Takrade to Insuta line saw the haulage of manganese was in the last quarter of 2024. And so throughout this year, we've not had any haulage at all. And even prior to the last quarter that we had some haulage of manganese, the haulage of manganese has been intermittent. So they will come do few haulages within a certain space, and they go about 3 months, 2 months, then they come and do some. It's been very intermittent. And it's all because the line has been so much been deteriorated, and so they always have hitches whenever they try to haul on it. In the last 10 years or so, if you look at the quantum of haulage of manganese to Takrade Port, the rail line was doing around 3% out of the 100. The rest were being done by road, leading to the devastation of our.
So this 3%, is it because the line is not functioning, or the rail coaches themselves are not available, or the company just prefers to use trucks? Why has rail, which is a cheaper and more sustainable way of conveying minerals, accounted for only 3% in the past 1 year?
The main reason is what you alluded in the first part of your question. The fact that they don't have the capacity. The rail line has been so much deteriorated that it is not able to do the haulage that the companies actually expect them to do. They don't have the capacity to haul. The lines easily breaks down. Small time they record what they call the derailment. They just go overboard, and so they are not able to do that. And that is why they actually give it to the haulage trucks. In fact, if you talk to the manganese and bauxite, they will tell you it costs much. It's more expensive to haul by road than the rail. It is quicker, and then the cost is also very much down compared to road. But over the years, we've allowed the railways to actually deteriorate. And if you have a line fallow for months, for years, people also find other use for the land, although it is not.
All right, Akwesi, I want to clarify something. Is it the track that's not working, for which reason the company is not using the rail, or it is the rail vehicle that is on the track? Do you understand my question? Because I don't know the terms.
I get you.
Is it the line that the thing is like? Is it the road or the car? That's the question I'm asking.
It's a line. It's a railway. It's a railway.
The railway itself, which is okay.
That's it. It is not in good condition. You remember the previous administration, somewhere in 2022, tried to reactivate the Takrady, even the passenger service. And it was the same old narrow gauge that they reactivated. In fact, as we speak, if you look at what the government tried to do to build a new standard gauge line, that standard gauge line has never been operationalized because it's not been completed. If you take from Takrady to Manso, which is around 22 kilometers, that is what they've been able to do. But even the 22 kilometers, there are portions that are still having intersections of the narrow gauge. And so if you take the 22 kilometers of the standard gauge that they've done from here, that's Kojokrom to Manso, you can't even put a standard gauge train track on it to go there because I'm told it's about 95% complete. Therefore, it cannot actually have any standard gauge train going on it. We've had a standard gauge train sitting at Takrady Port since 2016. And when they even tried to reactivate the passenger service, they couldn't use the standard gauge train because the line was not ready for that. And so it is the same old narrow gauge line that we attempted to use for the passenger line that recorded several derailments and it had to be stopped. And it is the same old narrow gauge that the bauxite manganese has been using. And it is in very bad shape. That is why they are not able to frequently haul.
Okay.
Again, they also have issues with maintenance. They record frequent breakdown and they don't have money to repair. So there are two issues. The line is not good, even when you have a good track to go on it. And besides that, they also have maintenance challenges that they are not able to actually fix. Hence,
okay. So now, on the line not being in a good shape, what percentage of that can we attribute to galamsey, and what percentage can we attribute to other causes? Since you've already given me the history of this line, so the inability of the company to use the line because it's in a bad shape, is it predominantly because of mining, or the line itself is old and not good, for which reason the company uses only 3% of it for its haulage?
But I can tell you that, we haven't recorded any instance where a train carrying bauxite got to a point, and because of galamsey, they were not able to continue or progress to their destination. And so there's no way we can attribute galamsey, encroachment on the lines as the reason the Ghana Railways Company has not been able to haul manganese over the years. They are able to do this. The current devastation happening in the last 3 months, that it has gotten to this point, is happening because we've left the line abandoned, idle. And so people could even approach it without anybody even being concerned because they are not on the rail.
All right. So but I think we need to also clarify that the fact that the line is not working or has had issues does not necessarily what's the word I use? That doesn't justify the work the galamsey people are doing. So the galamseyers are worsening the situation, because even if the line were working, what the mining has done is to render the line completely useless now, because now for some parts, at least the videos I saw, the rails are now hanging. There's no earth underneath.
At the moment, you can say yes. At the moment, because of galamsey, if the railway says they now want to haul, they can't haul. That is a fact. But I'm saying that at the time that they were hauling, we didn't have a situation where you could say that at a point in their haulage, they came across, galamsey operation taking over the line. For that matter, they could not progress.
Good.
We don't have that.
So you're saying that the last time they hauled was October 2024. At that time...
No, yeah, it was December,
December 2024.
The last date the haul was 11th December 2024. 11th
and at the time, they were able to run the full length from the mine to the port.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it means that we can deduce that this galamsey that has left the rail hanging happened after December 2024.
Exactly so. That's why I said that we were there in August this year, and they were encroaching. And so I remember the GRA boss, the Ghana Railway Development Authority boss, raised concern. We asked him what are they going to do about it, and they said, oh, we are going to have a combined task force to actually come and make sure they don't get to the rail. This was in August. And so that's the point I'm driving at, that what is happening right now means that you can't actually haul. But prior to that, we had a bauxite company, able to use the trucks to haul until the railway itself lost capacity to actually haul.
Has the Railway Development Authority made any comment since this video came out?
They are yet to. In fact, yesterday I actually spoke to their technical officer, one Mr. Amin Al-Hassan. He's the director of quality planning and research, and he told me that they are very much aware, and they actually saw it coming in August. But the question is, why didn't they act up to date? They're saying that they will take steps to look at it, but I think they are a bit reluctant and that slow because already they are not even working. For months they are not working. But if they were actually hauling, that today they had actually gotten some bauxite into their trucks and they were about moving, and because of that they cannot move, then it would have been a concern.
I get you. Thank you, Akwesi, for speaking to us. Akwesi Ajayanim is our Western Regional correspondent. Let's take you to the CSO meeting with the president. What we've done is we've picked out some of the questions that were asked, because a lot of times these programs are defined also by the caliber of questions asked. All right, there's also a lot of answers, but let's start with the questions, and I will bring you two groups of answers. There were answers provided by technical people who are like the Water Resources Commission, the EPA, and then there are answers provided by the president himself. So, but we've boxed the questions together so you can get a sense of the concerns expressed. So here's a flavor.
Share with us very definitive roadmap that would include key milestones and timelines and how we're going to get there. We believe that the work that has been done by EPA and all about the level of heavy metals in our water bodies, the turbidity that have gone above 98,000 NTUs, and my brother, the scientist, that report he shared with us, unfortunately, for all of us who are scientists, we know that this is not how you measure water quality. We know that that's not how you do it. You need to deal with the seasonalities. You need to deal with what the water quality index is, what you should be sharing with us and telling us what is it that we've been consuming as a people. And all of us, our lives are at risk. Our lives are at very risk. So we ask that His Excellency, you also tell us what benchmark would compel you to invoke the state of emergency, which you term is your last resort. We believe that the state of emergency is critical to carrying out some of the things that the minister has spoken about, to deal with the ecocidal genocide that is being perpetuated against all of us as Ghanaians. We also ask that the fast-track courts that is being mentioned, timelines be put to them, and then the key things be also mentioned. What are the key performance indicators that have been given to our MCs, DCs, police commanders in areas where galamsey is still going on? And what are the consequences for failure? Because we see a lot of them failing, but nothing is happening to them. The chiefs are either acquiescing or they know something about it. Those lands be confiscated and the chiefs be investigated. And then finally, the last one is the issues around accountability measures. Ghana Water Research should be publishing the quality index of water that is coming to all the treatment plants. The president should also commission a group to be doing food quality tests and publishing that to all of us so that we are sure that we are not consuming poison.
Mr. President, I state unequivocally that our nation is at war. There are criminals, environmental terrorists, greedy men and women that have waged war against the sovereignty of Ghana and her citizens. They are not fighting us with missiles. They are not bombarding us with bombs, but they are fighting us, including generations unborn, with mercury, cyanide, arsenic, lead, and what have you. Where we have gotten to now, we have to make a decisive decision whether we are going to tolerate what is going on at the moment, or we are going to take a frantic action to arrest the menace of galamsey. And I'm going to appeal to the president that he must do what the president of Ghana must do. He must do what the president of Ghana must do, which is, Mr. President, declare a state of emergency. Mr. President, only you have the power to declare a state of emergency. And therefore, please, do it.
In the name of God, and on behalf of the good people of Ghana who voted for you, we urge you, Your Excellency, to provide the following: clear benchmarks that will trigger a state of emergency, visible prosecution of kingpins, including those named in official reports, the establishment of promised fast-track courts, measurable performance indicators for local authorities and security services, protection for communities and traditional leaders who resist galamsey, alongside accountability for those complicit. Your Excellency, credibility is now as important as policy. Our people must see that no one is above the law and that economic expediency cannot outweigh the sacred right to clean water, safe food, and a healthy environment. We are with you in this fight, and so we beg of you and we urge you to act with courage and moral clarity.
It looks as if we need more money, you know, and I'm saying this for the simple reason that when I looked at last year's budget for fighting galamsey, it was about 10 million Ghana cedis. You guys allocated almost 50 million Ghana cedis to fight galamsey, and already we are seeing some results. Question I have: how much money do you really need to fix everything? We just want to know. And by the way, you have to be giving us updates as to how you use the money. So how much money do you really need? Because it looks to me 50 million is enough for, and I'm seeing some results really, but we need more.
Just outline what those 6 points are.
And I hope it will be very brief.
Just the outline.
Okay, all right.
A, enforcement and operational control. B, licensing and regulatory reforms. C, environmental recovery and public health. D, livelihoods and economic alternatives. E, institutional transparency and political accountability. And last but not least, the strategic intelligence and security. Within this framework, I would wish to borrow from the strategic thought of the Chinese general Sun Tzu, that the best general is the one who wins a war without firing any shot. Our position as CDT is that at this material time, it is a bit premature to declare a state of emergency because it entails political, socio-economic, and other security risks. So therefore, our main point within this 6-point framework is to identify the center of gravity of galamsey. And that center of gravity is the use of industrial machinery. So therefore, the main effort, and I'm speaking in terms of military strategy, the main effort of the state, the government, against that center of gravity will be to eliminate the use of machinery, heavy machinery. If we can do this in timelines, the main effort of the state, the government, against that center of gravity will be to eliminate the use of machinery, heavy machinery. If we can do this in timelines, we would have reverted the issue of illegal mining to the days of Don Diego de Azambuja, when we were basically mining gold with basic implements. Once we do that, all other things will fall in line.
So those were a selection of questions asked by civil society organizations on the galamsey. I think the summary is a lot of them were calling for state of emergency. A couple disagreed. A few were commending the president for the work that has started, but many said that a lot more needed to be done. Let's hear some of the answers given. Again, we've put them together. First, the Attorney General Dominic Ayine, who spoke about what was being done on the legal side, then the Lands Minister on what was happening operationally, and then the President on whether to declare state of emergency or not. So let's start with the Attorney General and the Lands Minister in some of the answers they provided.
It is true we referred two people who are politically exposed to the Economic and Organized Crime Office for investigation. These were the Honorable Yamin and Abanga, who is a third national vice chairman, one of the vice chairmen of our party. When we did the referral, it was upon intelligence that we got that was sent to both myself and the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. But after we did, some petitions came from small-scale miners to the Economic and Organized Crime Office, then complicating the investigations. And so, as we speak, an investigative report is yet to be made to my office because those small-scale miners also brought their petitions that had allegations against the two persons who were referred. And so, at this point in time, I cannot definitively speak to what is contained in the investigative report because it is yet to be presented to my office by the EOCO. But we are definitely taking action on those matters. Thank you very much.
Right. Okay, so Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, are your district mining committees prone to corruption? And are there mechanisms to ensure transparency and accountability in the handling of assets that are confiscated during the fight when Kanabo and his men stormed these galamsey sites?
Thank you very much. I think that before I answer that question, I think the point about the custody of the seized excavators and how we protect it to make sure we don't create that a challenge of missing excavators is something that has been taken on board. We're doing everything to make sure that those are strictly protected in government custody. Already in the current laws, everybody who gets the licenses, in the process of the licensing, are supposed to engage these mining communities and local communities. What has happened is that those are not happening. You've had a lot of complaints about chiefs in these mining communities. And so, when I was talking about the district mining communities, what I said was that they are going to be the first step in the licensing process and basically give recommendations. Those recommendations will be followed up by the Minerals Commission before those licenses are ultimately issued. And so I think it's an additional layer which I think will be helpful to address those concerns. Thank you. There was a question about the frontline institutions and people who have really not helped this fight and what we are doing. I can assure you that we are dealing with them appropriately. Those that must be terminated, those that must be punished, we are working on that as part of the whole reform. On budget, I think it's a very good question. If you saw my presentation, I called on corporate Ghana to come to our aid in supporting this fight against illegal mining. For example, if I give you how much is required to reclaim 7,500 football fields, probably the whole of Ghana's 1 year budget has to be spent on the galamsey fight. And so clearly that is really a problem, and I thank you for bringing it up. But corporate Ghana must come and support us collectively in this fight, especially reclaiming our water bodies and dechemicalizing program. It's a very expensive undertaking. And so I want to make sure we bring that up. Thank you very much. Deportation is not government policy, it's an administrative decision. And I believe that we've already tabled it strongly. I'm sure His Excellency will review this and make sure that we address it appropriately.
Your Excellency, what the EPA is in the process of acquiring, it's a technology that will help treat our water bodies while the water are in their position, even every other thing from water. So water can now be treated as they are on the lands where we are, before they get into the treatment plants of the water companies.
Is there any indication of how quickly this is going to be done? Timelines. Dr. Shibe is interested in that.
The timelines is tied to financials as well. So we are seeking commitment authorization from the Ministry of Finance. Once we have that, we'll be able to procure these technology. It's a chemicalization of our water bodies. Then we'll go ahead with it.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Menace of illegal mining, and I've been trying to find out about best practice, and I found out that apparently we are not the only ones suffering. The high gold price is pushing a lot of people into gold, especially gold mining. So if you go to Peru, you go to Chile, you go to Zambia, you go to South Africa. South Africa, there are even some old pits that people have gone into, and there's violence, people have died, all kinds of things are happening. So we might not be the only persons, but there are success stories we can learn from. Because if you look at Chile, for instance, they've been able to formalize 90% of their small-scale gold mining. It means 90%, they were in the same situation as us. But today, 90% of their small-scale mining is formalized. And they have control of it, they inspect, they make sure that they're doing the right thing. We can also achieve that. And so even though we're not alone facing that menace, I believe that we can use the best practices of Chile and others to also formalize our small-scale mining sector and make sure that we're able to take control of it. And that is part of what we tried to do when our colleagues died in the helicopter crash. We contacted the big mining companies. Some of them have concessions like 200 miles square. And they are not going to mine all of that concession today or tomorrow. They are some of the places they've explored and found that the gold content is so low that it's not really profitable for them to start mining. But for a small-scale mining company, because of their lower costs, they can mine it effectively. But they must do it responsibly. And so together with the big companies, we said, okay, let's start this cooperative mining, seed part of your concession, so that we can move the small-scale miners from where they are causing distraction onto your concessions. And then you can help us to monitor them and make sure that they are doing the right things. So that was what we were going to launch in Obuasi when the tragic accident happened. The first was Anglo Gold. Anglo Gold agreed, and they carved out a part of the concession. I'm happy to know that since then, Newmont have come on board and are going to assist with the cooperative mining. And some of the other bigger companies have agreed that they will carve out part of their concession so that we can move these illegal small-scale miners onto those places. And so we'll continue to do that. We also have the issue of geology and geological exploration. Currently, our mineral prospects have not been explored adequately. Happily, there's new technology generated by AI that allows those with the technology to partner with our geological survey department. And what they do is they shoot seismic from satellites, and they're able to map out exactly where a mineral prospect is. Currently, when our small-scale miners get a concession, they go and dig this place. There's not enough gold there. They leave it. They go and dig there. There's not enough gold. They leave it. They come and dig here. There's not enough gold. They dig here until they find something. By the time they find something and they're mining, they've dug all over the concession. Today, it's possible to precisely map out where the mineral prospect is. And that's part of what Gold Board is trying to do. That is their other responsibility. That is to give geological survey money together with their partners to shoot the seismic for Ghana and show where exactly the resources are. And based on that, do PPPs with Ghanaian mining companies that will mine that gold responsibly so that they don't go around just digging everywhere. So that's one of the things that Gold Board is going to introduce. And this fits into their track and trace system, which they are going to launch, because we cannot export gold to the European countries because of LBMA restrictions. And yet, if we introduce a track and trace system, we should not only be able to export to the Asian countries and the Middle East, we should be able to, once the gold has been tracked and it's known to have come from responsible sources, then we can export it into the LBMA countries. And that allows us to get a much higher price, for our gold than we currently have. And so Gold Board has to activate that other aspect. Aside from that, we're looking at best practices for small-scale mining, because small-scale mining is not restricted only to Africa or to Ghana. It is done even in the advanced countries. And so there are small-scale mines in Canada, Australia, even in the United States of America. And that's why when I spoke the other time, I said that we're contacting some of them so that our small-scale miners association, could be sent to go and see that you can do this in a much better way than we're currently doing. Happily, we've trained a lot of geologists, we've trained a lot of mining experts. University of Mines and Technology has trained so many of our young people who have the technology and the ability to do so. And so the intention is to attach these graduates of UMAT to the district mining organizations, and they would help the district mining organizations to go and inspect the small-scale mining industries and make sure that they are doing the right thing. Normally what you do is, before you start, you must dig what they call a tailings dam to contain any water that you use to wash the gold. And so all the gold that you wash must go into the tailings dam and is contained. And after you wash the gold and you finish mining, you're supposed to cover the pits, and then after that, there are chemicals that you can use to clean and detoxify the water. I'll come to that in a short while. But like I said, it's not an event, it's a process, but we will never give up. It's a long journey, but we'll continue to work on it. I like that somebody raised that, what are we doing to the kingpins? Because most of those 1,400 who have been arrested are young youth who are looking for something to be able to look after themselves. And we'll prosecute them, we'll imprison them. But those who run those operations are the ones that we must be arresting and imprisoning, not these little boys. And so we need to change our strategy. We can arrest the boys and all that. And I think that even if we send them, they should be given a leaner sentence by the judge, a slap on the wrist. But those who must be given, there's no slap on the wrist. What's the least sentence? 15 years. 5 to 15. Yeah, so we'll catch these boys and we'll feed them for 5 years. Look after them for 5 years and discharge them. But like I'm saying, maybe we can look rather for the kingpins and deal with them in a major way so that we are able to get something on this whole thing. With regards to toxification of the waters, like the EPA was saying, we started some pilots. There are new chemicals that have come that allows you to treat water and take out the toxins and the heavy metals. There are new chemicals that have come. One of them is called dioxin. The people came and we sent them there. They took samples, they tested. We're waiting for them to bring the results back. But there are other ways of dealing with gold, that is processing gold, without using mercury and cyanide. There are different for instance, you have what they call vortex concentrators. You put the gravel in there, and it's a vortex. It's like a centrifuge. And all the heavy things sink to the bottom. And you're able to take out the water, and you see the gold lying at the bottom. And you don't need to use mercury and all that. There's carbon filter. There you can use carbon filters to filter the water in order to be able to take out any toxins that are in there. They call it activated carbon filtration. You have reverse osmosis that is capable of taking out heavy metals and others, from the water. So while we're fighting the menace, I'm also saying that we should uptake technology in order to protect our environment. So yes, let's fight the illegal mining, but at the same time, let's bring in the new technologies that allow us to be able to protect our environment. Now, with the elephants in the room, state of emergency. Yes, I have the power to do it, but the president acts on the authority, not only on the authority, on the advice of the National Security Council. And as at now, this moment, the National Security Council believes that we can win the fight against galamsey without a state of emergency. I want to assure you that the day they advise me otherwise, that, boss, now we need a state of emergency, I will not hesitate in declaring a state of emergency. But we do still think that we have the powers to be able to win this fight. And as we deploy more troops and we apply more resources to the fight, I'm sure that gradually we'll begin to see that we're winning the fight. So like I said, this is not going to be a one-stop dialogue. We're going to continue to update you. We need your support. We need your criticism. We need your advocacy. We need your pressure. Continue to put our feet to the fire, because that will encourage us to also continue to work harder. And so I want to personally assure you that as president, I will also continue to put pressure on my lands ministry and all the ministries that are involved in this to make sure that we're able to hand over to our children and our grandchildren an environment that our great-grandfathers handed over to us. They gave us a beautiful country with a lot of forests and trees and beautiful rivers. We should not hand over poisoned rivers and desecrated forests to our children and our grandchildren. And so we will continue to fight. I believe that we'll win the fight against galamsey. And I want to...
Well, that was the president responding to questions. Earlier you heard the head of EPA and also the Minister for Mines or Lands and Natural Resources, as well as the Attorney General, responding to some of the questions asked. It's 5 minutes past 9 on the City Breakfast Show. So I monitored the event. It was a lot of people, and I always say that these events, the way they are structured, don't really get to the bottom of the issues. But it is what it is. It's the same with the media. You have 120 people, and you have an hour and a half or 2 hours to ask questions. You have questions, no follow-up. It's difficult. What the CSOs did, which I liked, was a lot of them came with prepared documents that they submitted to the minister. So even if they couldn't read the full thing, they will read highlights and submit it. We don't know if the government is going to publish it. 59 CSOs. A lot of them came with some 5 pages, 7 pages kind of thing. I'm not really sure that the government, how they are going to treat all that. Again, in measuring the sentiment in the room, there's a way in which these things are. When the president comes with his ministers to update you on what they're doing on galamsey, in a sense, you are forced to acknowledge some of the work they've done, and then also sort of point out what needs to be left. And then there's also a mix of views expressed. Well, a lot of people are saying declare state of emergency, but 1 or 2 are saying we don't think it's necessary. The government doesn't think it's necessary at this stage, so obviously they would be happy that there wasn't consensus that everybody wanted state of emergency. So those are some of the things. There was an article written by someone which I thought was quite an interesting summary. I don't know what your take is. If you could read it for us.
This is an independent article written by Kay Kojo, who is an associate of Imani Ghana. and it reads, this is the headline, the meeting between the president and the CSOs. I was eager to watch the engagement between President John Mahama and civil society organizations yesterday, so this will be on Friday. Truly eager, for once it felt as though Ghana might finally confront its greatest environmental crime head-on. I tuned in with anticipation, expecting piercing questions, uncomfortable truths, and a bold confrontation of power. What I saw was mixed. There was far too much praise singing. Too many voices sounded like they were reciting scripts of flattery instead of holding leaders accountable. Yet I will not discount the few who stood tall. Franklin Kujo of Imani, for example, asked the hard questions. How do we fund this war? How do we prosecute offenders? How do we resource the fight so it is not just rhetoric? The minister's answer was an admission that cuts deep. The budget is small. That was the truth. How do you win a war without a war chest? How do you call illegal miners environmental terrorists but fight them with empty pockets? The minister went on to urge corporate Ghana to support the fight. But why should corporate Ghana carry a burden that the government has the constitutional duty to shoulder? And yet the announcements were not without weight. The Attorney General has ordered Chairman Wontumi to show up on Monday, October 6, or face arrest. He has promised to lay in Parliament on October 14 an instrument to revoke LI 2462, the regulation that opened the door to mining in forest reserves. He has secured the acting Chief Justice's commitment to set up specialized courts for illegal mining prosecutions. These steps, if followed through, could turn the page. President Mahama, for his part, said he will only declare a state of emergency if the National Security Council advises it. At the same time, he has pleaded with the civil society and faith-based groups, quote, continue putting fire under our feet to win the fight against galamsey. That is not just encouragement. It is a confession that without pressure, the state slips back into comfort. The lands minister dropped another bombshell. For the past 8 years, not a single excavator brought into Ghana has gone through DVLA registration. Think about that. Giant machines capable of carving valleys out of rivers entered this country without a paper trail. That is not oversight. That is systemic collusion. The National Interagency Task Force on Illegal Mining, NIMOS, came in breathing fire. Colonel Dominic Bois, its operation head, outlined a military-style operation. Ghana has been zoned into 7 galamsey regions, further dividing into 21 sectors. 400 troops have already been deployed with drones, surveillance, and around-the-clock patrols. Illegal miners are to be treated as environmental terrorists. Financiers, he warned, will be smoked out. A 24-hour toll-free line will soon be launched for citizens to report. On paper, it sounds like war at last. And yet the paradox lingers. Small-scale mining now provides 52% of Ghana's gold output, but it is also the single largest driver of environmental ruin. Rivers are poisoned, forests stripped, communities turned into craters. This is why selective justice will not cut it. Citizens watching the event ask the right question. Why only Akonta Mining and Wontumi? What about the NDC-linked actors whose names are already sitting in the Attorney General's files? If the law becomes a machete swung at one side and a pillow for the other, then this is not justice, it is theater. Because here is the truth. Galamsey thrives not because of one company or another, but because excavators roam without fear. As long as a party machine, diesel, and impunity can meet in the bush, Ghana will bleed. Destroying this business model requires one thing: make the excavator too costly to own, too risky to deploy, too certain to be seized. That is how you bend the cartel's cost-benefit calculus. So yes, I was eager to watch. Yes, I saw flashes of courage, a few moments of honesty. But overall, I left with the taste of a song I have heard too many times. Too much praise, too little piercing. A nation that wants to roar still whispers. Monday is the test. If Wuntumi walks into court or is dragged there in cuffs, Ghana may yet believe this is more than words. But if this turns out into another show of selective justice, then all the drones, patrols, speeches, and praise songs will not save our rivers. Monday will speak. The question is, will it whisper or will it roar? Okay, Kojo.
So we are here on Monday. I think it was also good to see non-media people question the president, because a lot of times when we do media events, people take issue with the way journalists ask their questions. And with the praise singing, I think there was a lot more praise singing among the CSOs than there was ever with any media group. Because if you listen to the journalists a month ago when they met the president, we did, of course, it wasn't a one-item press briefing, and also they didn't get the chance to get this type of I don't know what do you call it, technical presentation. So there was presentation by the Water Resources Commission and other people. So somehow they had premised it to say this is what we have done. So the people were forced to say yes, we've acknowledged some progress, but in a sense it watered down the urgency of the issues leading up to this. I also need to say that the feeling that the government is feeling on the galamsey fight, I believe, became much clearer after the media engagement.
Sure.
Because there were about 3 questions on the galamsey which initially were not even answered. You get it? So during that media encounter, a couple of people asked questions. For some reason, the president didn't hear or he didn't answer. Then later on, he was reminded and he did answer. And then other questions came in at the end. And then when he started talking about state of emergency and how he never thought the galamsey fight was going to be a short. Then people started saying no. The president's articulation on galamsey left much to be desired. So if you notice, he did answer some questions pretty well. So then it's sort of the pressure for galamsey took a new turn after that encounter. Okay, this is how I see it. So I feel like this one, the civil society groups had been pushing a lot. Watching the whole program, I don't know whether, because the way governance is done, we have to see people answer their leaders. We should use that as the measure of anything. Because I feel like when you want to assess galamsey, there should be objective benchmarks that we can all use. So for example, can we say there are 10 rivers which have been polluted by this amount? So by end of year 1, we want all mining in rivers to stop, for example. Number 2, by end of year 2, we want all the rivers which have been polluted to be at this level of MTU. Number 3, we want, do you understand, like some specific measurable things. Otherwise, it's going to be, somebody's concept of what I'm doing versus what somebody calls what should be done. You get it? And then we keep arguing about state of emergency or not. Maybe we should craft specific things we want to see. All right. So as we talk today, rivers are polluted. How many rivers are polluted? What's the level of pollution? What can we say? We should using an outcome approach than an output approach, because the government is using an output to say we've deployed 6,000 soldiers, we have trained 16,000 blue guards, which is what the minister keeps saying. We are persecuting 600 people. They all seem to be outputs, but if galamsey stops, we should be able to tell. You get it? Don't tell me you spent $1 million on fighting galamsey. Show me the reopening of the Kwenyaku headworks. Do you understand? Show me the state of the PRA. All right? Tell me how many farmlands have been recovered and farmers are back on the land. Maybe we should government help me. Let's craft a rubric for assessing the galamsey fight outside. Because government can mention anything it's doing. Do you get my point?
I get you. But I'm sorry I sound so down.
Oh, don't be down.
You know my position on this galamsey, and I'm sure our listeners also know my position on the fight against galamsey. I've given up.
Oh.
It won't work.
You've given up?
It won't work.
Already?
Oh, but it's going to get worse.
Oh.
Yeah, it won't get better. I wish I could say I felt encouraged by the president's answers. We asked questions, he gave answers, but I'm not encouraged. I like the fact that he's engaging on this matter with the organizations. I like the transparency of it, but I am still not encouraged. Like I've always said and I continue to say, we are a country that is run by money. Galamsey is too valuable at the moment for it to stop.
nothing else matters more than galamsey at the moment to the people who benefit from it. And that is a large chunk of a very important part of our society. We can decide to say it is true or not.
Sorry, can you repeat what you just said? This last point.
I have forgotten what I said.
No, you said galamsey is too valuable. Then you explained it. I wanted the explanation.
Because it is very important to a certain part of our society who hold the control on whether it stops or not. And it is not going to stop until they are satisfied that they have gotten the most out of it, or until something else becomes more valuable. If we don't find something as a country that brings in as much as this won't stop. We are going to get preached to. We are going to get the usual performance of achievement, but the water bodies are going to continue to die. We are going to continue to eat the poison plants. The water plants are going to continue to struggle. Their equipment are going to break down. So I have no good news on this. Like I said, I completely appreciate what happened, and it must happen. Hopefully they do more. But in my estimation, in almost now 10 years of chasing this galamsey, at what point have we ever felt, like you said, that galamsey is slowing down? In a decade. We have most of these things we've heard before, just at different levels. In the past decade, at what point have we as a country felt that galamsey levels have reduced? At what point? It is the same way we can see, oh, things are getting worse. Look, Bernard, I'll look at this. I was just writing a few things down. A lot of guns in galamsey, right? Guns are pretty supposed to be controlled. Imports, exports, by whoever. So how come there are so many guns in the hands of galamsey people? Has there been a point where access to arms has been reduced to them? No.
So you think on the arms side, it's been getting worse?
Yes. The paid security.
So the miners are actually getting more weaponized.
Yes.
They are getting more weapons.
On the paid security, the people that they employ, particularly the pump action guns, we've seen the rise of local legends now. People mention Kwame Ato. People mention Last Killer. These are not comic book heroes. These are people who are on TikTok, who do live videos. Last week, everybody was complaining about the fact that Kwame Ato had been beat up, had gotten himself beat up in Takwa or something by another gang. These are people who protect galamsey sites. They have risen to near mythological status in our societies. The police know them. The various whatever know them. They walk around free. People see the other one did a video last week, Last Killer. He said he was even giving away his location. He had driven from here to here, showed himself on his farm doing, yeah. So, Chan fans, we banned it. Everybody in this country knows the components that make up Chan fans. How come they still get in? And they are still assembled once they get in. Because it's not like a Chan fan is not a device that you can import whole. It's made up of certain things. So if we have so many Chan fans, and for instance, at the port of entry, we realize that motors of a certain type have gone up, or fans of a certain type have gone up. Do we ask ourselves and say, is it going up or down? Obviously, it's gone up. They mentioned excavators recently. Did they not say that I recall on this program when they put a ban on the importation of excavators, and that was this year that we imported the most excavators. 3 years ago, there was a ban on the import of excavators. That was the year that Ghana imported the most excavators ever. And it is a process that is ongoing.
So there was a ban on paper, but people were still importing. And to the point that the port didn't have enough space to keep the excavators, that they had to move the excavators, according to the transport minister, to a site near
wherever it was. That became a problem. Yeah. And I'm outlining certain things for you to know why I say nothing is going to happen, because I'm talking to you about things that people actually have the ability to control. But it doesn't look like anybody's controlling anything. The substances that are used, we've mentioned mercury, a highly controlled substance. You in most civilized countries, you cannot purchase mercury of a certain volume without raising eyebrows. Now, people have shifted from mercury to cyanide, which is even more of a controlled substance. So how are these illegal miners gaining access to one of the most controlled substances on planet Earth and the volumes that they are getting it without somebody saying, if you go and buy X volume of cyanide from Benadavle Industries, Benadavle Industries is supposed to ask you, one, where are you taking it? What are you using it for? And it's supposed to alert a certain chain to say this person came to buy a certain quantum of cyanide. Just note it. I've mentioned excavators. They're buying and selling, they are on it.
So you've mentioned weapons, you've mentioned excavators, you've mentioned the chemicals.
The rise of the paid security, the gangs, controlled substances, the components used for chamfans. So you put all this together and the question still arises. We are still worried. We are still asking the question, why no kingpin has been arrested? No kingpin is going to get arrested. Nobody. We've been, again, Aisha One was made the face of illegal mining in this country. And I kept telling you that. What kind of dent was made in illegal mining when Aisha One was jailed? Perhaps zero. Perhaps zero. So we are waiting for the law to be repealed, the courts to speed up. Hopefully it works. But the most painful part for me is we've seen little conflicts in communities where now there's almost I won't say tacit acceptance. There is an open acceptance that illegal mining means something to the community. So there is resistance even when you go to certain communities now. We've seen the conflicts where communities are burning car ties to prevent security from entering the communities. They are saying if you come here, you will have problems with you. The links to votes and whatnot.
Do you think the
I'm supposed to be hopeful?
Do you think the National Security Council needs to explain to us why they are advising the president not to do state of emergency? Because from what you've said to me, weapon increase, chemical procurement,
excavators coming in by the millions,
local protectors of galamsey,
very popular.
It will be useful to see or hear those who are advising the president against a state of emergency why they think it's not the way to go.
So right. Bernard, yeah.
Let me take Sky's comment briefly before I take it. I know. Give me 2 seconds.
I'm not hopeful. That's
so you've lost hope.
Oh, Bernard, get out and say won't stop. Won't stop. No. Won't stop.
Hey, that's a very heavy thing to say.
Stop, Bernard. We won't stop.
Are you no? I don't think you've lost hope. Sky, you think we can put more fire?
Yeah, I think that it is the president who is failing us. And I say so with all the respect I can command for the president. But regrettably, I don't think that he's done any job worthy of celebrating. We were critical of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo because we felt that he had not done enough. Since, he felt his party was losing grounds in the constituencies affected by galamsey and therefore decided to step back after the initial, major fight that we saw. President Mahama was clear in 2004 when he said that 2024, that he was going to launch an all-out war on illegal mining and that he was going to deal with the matter decisively. It's been 8 months since he came to office. What have we seen? The same old approach that failed under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The involvement of people who should know better. The failure of district chief executives under whose direct jurisdiction these things are going on. The connivance of chiefs who are supposed to be custodians of the lands that they preside over. Right? And ordinary people who have been mobilized by, in some cases, party bigwigs, because we've read the reports here, of MPs directing, in some cases, the seizure of mines and the taking over of operations in those mines by illegal miners, in some cases, and commands to the electricity company of Ghana, in some cases, to supply electricity so that people can engage in illegal mining. Now, when you promise us that you are coming to deal with illegal mining, one would have expected that you would approach it with a sense of urgency. What are we seeing? Press conferences in Accra, meetings at the presidency. That's not where galamsey is going on. Look, you might criticize President, Donald Trump for all his shenanigans or excesses, as some people call it. He told the people of America, if I become president again, I will deal with illegal immigration. In 9 months or so, we are told by the records that over 2 million people have either self-deported themselves or have been removed. He's taking bold decisions. People can criticize him for it, but he's doubled the number of soldiers along the the U.S.-Mexico border. If you look at the numbers, we are told that the numbers have either gone entirely or that they have become minimal. That is how you show that you are dealing with a problem. He doesn't care about what people say about him. From all the experts, academics, all media people writing all the things. He is dealing with a problem. He's not sitting at the presidency holding meetings, come and tell me how to deal with the problem. No, that is not what Donald Trump is doing. He is confronting the problem, insult him, say you will kill him. He doesn't care about that. The American people have given him, increasing approval rating because they felt that he's doing the job.
On immigration.
On immigration. You may criticize him for other matters or the excesses associated with it. He is threatening what? Mexico. You are the people allowing these people to come in. You continue on this path, I am going to impose tariffs and all kinds of things. What's happening? We are here. Part of his fight is the receipt of these deportees who have come into the country in blatant violation of our constitution. In any country, the president should be impeached for that conduct.
Agama.
Yes. No, I mean, yes, you impeach who? Chief Justice of the Republic.
Stay on Galamsey.
For far less.
Stay on Galamsey.
No, I'm saying on Galamsey.
Stay on track. Stay focused.
With the decapitation of the head of the judiciary.
No, focus.
The president is constitutionally the man given the authority to protect our land and the natural resources.
So let me ask you, are you questioning the approach or the outcome? Or the body language? What's the basic issue here?
You see, the problem has gotten to a state where it threatens the lives of citizens, the health, our collective and individual being as a people is threatened. And scientists after scientists have provided evidence to show that people are dying. Citizens are being made. And all of these things satisfy the requirements under the
Babies deformed, water plant treatment plants shut, crops being polluted, farmlands being lost. So the environmental and human effect alone should weigh more than...
Exactly, Bernard. And you see, when you read the provisions of, is it Article 31 of the Constitution? The language is clear. Where people are doing something or intend to do something that affect the collective safety of our people, you intervene and deal with it robustly. The president was talking about National Security Council or whatever. He was mentioning
National Security Council.
No, he mentioned some people.
Yeah, he said the National Security Council,
the framers of the Constitution,
not advised him to do state of emergency.
That's not what the language of the Constitution says.
Consultation with the
Council of State. What's the business of National Security? I mean, throwing those things.
So it's Council of State, not National Security Council.
Yes. No. So the president mentioned this security.
So you should have mentioned Council of State.
Yes.
If anything at all.
No, you see, I think he's trying to bypass the proper procedure.
Perhaps because the national security will be the ones who will be deployed to fight the war.
No. And the Constitution says you act on the advice of the Council of State.
Yes. Yeah.
Has the Council of State been asked to provide advice?
We don't know.
We don't know. Have they on their own written to the president to say that, look, based on our assessment of what's happening around the country, Mr. President, consider imposing state of emergency and deal with the problem thereafter. We don't know whether this thing has happened. What we do know is that the president has not declared state of emergency. He says that some national security people, and I'm saying that the Constitution doesn't contemplate that. It was not part of the people who should be coordinated. What am I
saying? There's no role of the National Security Council, the National Security Council in the discussion about state of emergency?
Constitutionally, there's no role for them.
What about operationally?
Operationally, if there's...
Because National Security Council obviously consists of the heads of security agencies.
That's true.
And if you're a president who wants to take a security decision, it's natural for you to...
So let the council advise that you should do it. And then go and tell them that this is how do we operationalize it. That is my respectful view.
So the Council of State should be the one to decide or...
No, they advise
that
in their view, do A, B, C, D. And the president is enjoined to act on the authority on the authority of that advice.
So what the question I want to ask you is the state of emergency the most important thing to show that he's committed to the fight?
Yes, in my respectful view. Because, and I will explain why. If you read again Article 31 of the Constitution, the superstructure of what should be there for you to make that declaration is clear. If you look at the facts, Konyaku water treatment plant has been shut down. For the first time in a long time, we are likely to go back to the ages of ringworm because people are drinking water from sources they ought not be drinking water from. Diarrhea is likely to kick in because they are drinking all kinds of things. Pregnant women, we are told, are facing serious problems because of what? Sources of water they are drinking, and then the quality of their food being compromised by all these chemicals that we're talking about. We heard the voices. People are dying as a result. Premature, what's the word?
Yeah. Preterm babies.
Preterm babies are being had.
So the point is that there's enough evidence to show that this is extreme enough to merit a state of emergency.
And you see, and the impact will be long lasting. Some of these will not find immediately. It will take years, decades in some cases, for these things to manifest. Why, Boku? Recently.
Let me help the discussion briefly.
Okay.
Will it be possible at some point for civil society and people like you to provide communities where we think state of emergency should be implemented? Because the other way the matters are conflated is they say, oh, state of emergency infringes people's rights and that type of thing. But if we could sort of list the communities where we believe that the level of illegal mining, they merit a state of emergency. So you could have a code. All the red districts, state of emergency. Maybe the yellow districts, you can do normal NIMOS. And the green districts, you can just use water guards. You get it? What I'm trying to say is that until we are all exact and give a bit of precision to what we ask for, the people can faff around with all these things. Number two, the issues around what specific outcomes we want to see. So state of emergency is an action we want to take. But again, what outcome do we want to see? I think the civil society organizations that really want to fight galamsey need to come together and come up with a united position. Because what tends to happen is that because they are different groups, you can invite 60 groups, 30 of them are just praise singers. I'm not saying that's what they did, but it's possible, right? And they will all come and confuse the issues. But if the 30 who believe that the right thing is not being done care a lot about this country, maybe they can come together and say, let's have a national discussion and outline specific things we all want to see collectively.
Okay.
Because you know what I'm saying? Because see, once we are all not clear on what outcome we want to see, it's possible for people to say, for example, somebody from Water Resources Commission came. Oh, the water level was 9,000, it's now 7,000. So there's some progress there. Is that really what we want? There has to be some clarity on outcome in addition to insisting on the process. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, but
no, I'm not arguing with you.
Oh,
I'm just sort of trying to wrap this. That's why I take a short break. Okay. I'm saying in addition to what you've said, we need to also come up with specifics that we collectively want.
I think we are imposing too many obligations on civil society organizations.
So I'm not saying that is part of the. No, you are not getting me. We are fighting something. The president has come to do a press conference with people. What's the next action? There has to be insistence on specifics. That's how you do advocacy. That's not imposing anything. If you are going to sustain a fight, there are certain things you have to do to coordinate the fight.
Bernard,
that's all I'm saying.
Bernard, you see, the man who is supposed to be fighting the matter has set up gold board. They did that with this part, didn't they?
Yes.
Set up gold board. We are now being told that the institution gold board is buying, allegedly, gold from these illegal sources.
They can't differentiate between the source of gold from what we've been told is that there isn't clarity on the difference between gold sourced from the right person versus the wrong person.
Okay, so how does that?
I don't know.
You see, so you see, you have set up an institution which is supposed to buy gold, right?
Yeah.
That gold
and sanitize the small scale gold sector.
Exactly. But we are told, allegedly by people who know better, that institution is buying gold that they should not be buying, right? How are you going to fight galamsey? And the money we are making is to cushion the economy.
You can use that institution to fight it.
So why are they not doing it?
That's the question.
But you see, I think that we have to be clear. Nobody should take over the president's job and do it for him. That is not why we elected him. We elected him to fix a mess created by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and his people when they failed to deal with the problem. We don't need press conferences. We don't need meetings with civil society at the presidency to tell us how bad the problem is. You and I, when we see a reduction in the level of illegal money, we will know it.
Thank you.